Hey MotoAmerica fans, this is Max Flinders. Make sure you go to MotoAmerica YouTube channel and subscribe, comment, like. If you see me, definitely put a thumbs up.
You've landed on the MotoAmerica AMA FIM North American Road Race Championship. Our second race for round 7 from Pittsburgh International Race Complex in Waupun, Pennsylvania. It's MotoAmerica Superbikes at Pittsburgh. Welcome everyone to the SportbikeTrackGear.com Junior Cup class. I'm Greg White, standing alongside two-time champ Jason Pridmore. Now Jason, here we are, race 14 of 18, and the championship is as tight as you like it. Only 4 points between the top two. However, this championship is starting to be messed up by a couple of riders that are all of a sudden picking up some speed.
Well, we love it here because now some of the non-contenders for the championship are getting involved with the two main antagonists that we have in the championship. So you look at Cody Wyman, you look at David Kolstad, you look at Gus Rodeo. They are now finding the pace to come and mix it up with the two guys at the front of the championship, and they could be the real spoilers when we get down to Barber.
Yeah, in race number 2, it was Cody Wyman. That was at Brainerd International Raceway who put himself in between the two championship leaders. But then yesterday's race, we saw another couple riders find their way in between those two. And here we are in this championship, now only 4-point advantage for Tyler Scott. And, you know, looking at Cody Wyman, it was really that move that he made at Brainerd to finish second ahead of Gloddy that is the gap in the championship. If that result didn't happen and Gloddy finished second, we'd be all tied up in this championship. However, Benjamin Gloddy has now got his winning ways back, and he's with our very own Hannah Lopa.
Ben, you are just 4 points adrift in this championship. You're finally getting race wins again. What's it going to take to make that really stick and secure this championship title?
I think we just got to keep the consistency rolling and, you know, keep the pressure on the guys out front. And just keep getting good starts and staying consistent is going to be the most important thing. So we're going to Jersey, which should technically be my home track, so I'm looking forward to it there.
How do you plan to kind of keep this successful momentum going?
You know, just the team putting a great bike underneath me, and we're getting stuff sorted early in the weekend, and these next two tracks we've been to just riding, testing this year, so we have a good base set up from the start, so that'll be a good start for when we get there.
Thanks, Ben.
All right, Ben Gloddy has got this guy to contend with, and this morning's warm-up, Tyler Scott was nearly a second faster than everyone.
Almost ready for our second. Would this be our penultimate race of the afternoon? Our next to last here at the MotoAmerica Superbikes at Pittsburgh, the final day. Got a recliner there on that Kawasaki. He looks relaxed. He looked like he was ready to go. You see, Rocco must be nervous. He's chewing his nails in the background. But Ben Gloddy looked good. He looked confident this morning. But I'm telling you, the confidence on guys like Wyman, Kolstad, Rodeo, and Lamandry after yesterday, I think that's really going to be the thing to look for today. Not just Gloddy giving Ty Scott fits. I think there's going to be 4 of them at least.
And also getting to see Cody Wyman back out there today. Had that big crash yesterday, limped off. So hopefully today he can have a good race.
There's one guy that we will not see on the line, it looked like. Jack Roach off to the side after that crash. Evidently that bike must not be ready to go. But either way, Ty Scott, it looked fast in warm-ups, so seemed to be fast in the race.
Ton of activities at Pitt Race during the course of a MotoAmerica race weekend for the entire family. Come on. Oh, look at that. That is baller. That kid making that big jump. I'm loving it. Whoa, look at that kid. Is that Adam Vinatieri on the AFC Championship game against the Raiders, the snowball? Huh?
We don't talk about anything Patriots here.
Let's talk about Kayla Yaakov because her 6th-place finish yesterday was awesome, Jason. She's really starting to come into her own.
And she's racing every weekend. She's traveling all over the world right now, so all the experiences that she's gaining from that are starting to show in her results.
At 14 years old, and she just turned 14, one of the youngest competitors we have in MotoAmerica, and she is with Hannah. So let's get down to Hannah with Kayla Yaakov.
Greg, Kayla Yaakov is a rookie in our STG Junior Cup this season. She joined us midway through as soon as she became age eligible, 14 years old, to enter the class. But she's been racing double duty in the European R3 Cup, traveling back and forth between Europe and the U.S. What has that schedule been like for you, and how are you able to kind of rest up in between?
It's been crazy. It's been such fun all year. I mean, when we get back, we just try to rest as much as possible. It's a lot easier coming back to the U.S. because I'm used to the time. But you know, when we get there, it's a little more difficult. I adjust more quickly, but my dad doesn't. But it's been good. It's been a lot of fun, and yeah.
How would you say the level of competition compares to the level you're seeing here in our paddock?
Honestly, it's the same. I'm really close to the times of the front runners at Blue Crew, and this weekend's been very good, and it's been the same. So we're really happy with our finishes so far in both series, so it's been really good.
Speaking of finishes, you finished 6th, a personal best for you in race 1. What are your expectations for race 2 and the rest of the season?
It's been a great race. It's so much fun, a lot of battling, and which is what I like. So hopefully we can improve and maybe up our position, either stay the same or go farther up. And for the rest of the season as well, I'd like to have some really good finishes and maybe even a top 5 to end off the year.
Well, really impressive stuff from Kayla Yaakov all season long. Definitely expect to see big things from her, even internationally in the future. Guys?
Love hearing that a young racer loves to battle. And Jason, let's take a look at Pittsburgh International Race Complex where they're doing their battle today.
Absolutely, Greg. As we come up over turn 1, it is blind. Then you go up over a blind turn 2 into the hardest braking zone for these riders, where we'll see some passing up in turn 3. Then it's just a roller coaster ride all the way through to turn 12. 14 is a very difficult right-hander, another blind corner that we have here at Pitt Race. The chicane is where you see towards the end of the lap. And then, of course, turn 17 and 18, we can see some stuff down there. And we just saw Kayla go by Jack Roach coming down that front straightaway on the run to the checkered flag yesterday.
Yeah, that is exciting racing here at Pitt Race. What about this young guy? Bazooka Joe Lamandry trying to come back and duplicate his finish.
I think that may be our next winner. He's aggressive. Kolstad's aggressive. I'm Robbie Floyd with Roger Hayden. In case you're wondering where these voices are coming from, I think he could be the next one that could do it, Raj.
Yeah, he looked really good yesterday, dragging that pack up to the front. So he's been quick. I've noticed that in all the practices that he's been going really well this weekend. So for him being on the second row, he's going to have to get a really good start. I'm expecting Tyler Scott to get a really good start and try to check out. He's did that a lot of times this year when he's gotten beaten on Saturday. So I hope to see it. And he's got a cool nickname. I like that one.
We're in New Jersey the next time around, and Joe Lamandry Jr. from Garden City, New York, had a strong finish last year. I think he's kind of building for that next round. We're going to see something in Tyler Scott that we haven't seen. I think he's out to prove that he still has everything we thought he had. He might have had a little bit of a mechanical yesterday, but he's going to give it his all today.
Today's STG Junior Cup coverage is sponsored by Geico Motorcycle. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on your car or motorcycle insurance. By SportbikeTrackGear.com, the motorcycle apparel and parts specialists. And by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
Back at Pittsburgh International Race Complex, the start of the Sport Bike Junior Cup Track Gear Junior Cup Championship. Ben Gloddy, Ty Scott, Cody Wyman in your front row.
Kolstad, Rodeo, and Lamandry Jr. are going to be there on row number 2. Jack Roach is a scratch. Sadly, he had a fall over this morning. Eli Block, Williams, Vanderbroek, Yaakov, and Bickney's there on row 4. Then we've got Humphreys, Davis, Black, Dreyer, Pedersen, and Espen. And on a little bit further back, Alex Ricci in row number 7.
Riders have already, completed their warm-up lap. You can see Tyler Scott checking those brakes after some modifications to the motorcycle last night. There's very limited modifications, so they were just checking over the bike on that KTM because they didn't really feel like they had the speed. But this morning in warm-up, Ty Scott was ripping fast.
Yeah, he was really fast. Cody Wyman, good to see him back out there. He described to me he had the biggest high set he'd ever had. Every part of his body looked like it was hurting yesterday. So happy to see him back out there on the 34, starting from the front row there.
10 laps scheduled for SportbikeTrackGear.com Junior Cup race number 2. Benjamin Gloddy having a look over his shoulder when these lights go red and they go off. We're ready to get race action underway. Here we go, revs are up. Oh, it looks like one rider in the middle had a problem, but Ben Gloddy with a good launch. But here comes that orange KTM RC390 off to the lead. So it's your championship points leader by 4, Ty Scott, who will lead us in the first lap.
And let's see, Kolstad there, Rodeo just behind. We're going to get those same 5 guys. There's Cody Wyman also, as you can see, everybody protecting themselves from that draft. Gloddy goes to the front as they roll up into turn number 3.
Nice pass for the lead by Ben Gloddy. He saw the times that Ty Scott was able to do earlier today, and he wants to lead it. Is Scott going to try to sneak up the inside? Nope. Gus Rodeo in 3rd spot, trying to hold on to these 2.
Yeah, just looking a little bit further back, there's a small gap starting to open it up, but I'm just trying to see it's Lamandry Jr. Yeah, so those guys, we got that same kind of 6 guys, don't we, Greg, that we saw running up at the front yesterday. It's going to be interesting. I thought Ty Scott's bike was a little bit slow yesterday, so we'll see if they've done anything or maybe found a problem, that there could have been a problem, even if there was. So we'll see if he's able to get back as he takes another stab right here. Look at that straight line right into that turn 11 area. Gloddy has a look back, but not quite close enough.
That momentum started quite a ways back for those 2 riders, as Scott trying to break away early, trying to put a stamp on this race. And Jay, in speaking with the crew, they talked about looking inside that motor. You can't really do anything to it. You can do the normal service stuff you would at a dealership, since these are motorcycles you can buy at a dealer.
It'll also be interesting, you made comment yesterday that we could hear a lot of rev limiters at the end of the front straightaway, and it'll be interesting to see if we hear that today, if anybody made any changes to their gearing to try to be ready for this draft. One of the few tracks, or one of the few, maybe the only class that we're really going to be able to see any drafting take place in this Junior Cup in all of our classes here.
Ty Scott looking awfully fast. A 157.7 from a dead stop. 155.4. The pole for Ben Gloddy, but Ty Scott looking good, Hannah.
He is, and you know, he tried some different lines in warm-up this morning. Overall, he's really comfortable. He said the cooler temperature today compared to yesterday's conditions definitely helped his bike run a lot better. This morning in warm-up, he broke the track record, so that definitely inspires confidence in a race scenario. Overall, he just wants to maintain the lead in points heading into New Jersey to give him a bit of an advantage, so he's not scrambling to fight for the championship to the end. He does have the championship on his mind, but the most important thing is just to finish ahead of Ben. So whether win or 5th or 6th, as long as he's in front of Benjamin Gloddy, then that's his goal for the weekend and for the remainder of the season.
And you know, Jay, with only 4 points between the leading 2 in this group, looking at it, no one's had a DNF this year of the first 2 riders.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, and for, you know, being as young as these riders are, 15 years old for Scott, 16 years old for Gloddy, it's pretty incredible to watch the speed and the pace of which they run, and been relatively mistake-free this season.
And consistent, as you say. So they've always been up at the front, have these 2. So, you know, the thing you and I, when we got into the booth this morning, we were watching this session and we're scrambling to look at lap times because the pace was so much faster than yesterday. And you can see what's happening right now, can't you, Greg? You can see that those 2 guys out front, they've just got that extra little bit of a step, it would seem like, because of what Ty Scott did this morning. It made Ben Gloddy know that he had to get ready, get the gloves off to try to chase down that KTM. He wants to do everything he can to be 1 point up leaving today, as opposed to being 9 points down if Ty Scott goes ahead and wins this race. So there's a lot to play for.
54.6 by Ben Gloddy.
Unreal.
54.7 by Tyler Scott. I mean, that is absolutely ripping. 55.4 was pole position set yesterday. It's these 2 in another pass.
And you know, we're looking at our screens, but with lap timers and stuff, I'm sure Ty Scott sees 54.7 on his lap timer and thinks, wait a minute, I just got passed as well. So Ben Gloddy is doing everything he can to do the double here. And that gap that they pulled away now is 1.1 seconds as they came across the line there. There's a second gap between 2nd and 3rd, but 1.1 between 1st and 3rd. So that battle for 3rd has got to get organized and go with these 2, as it looks like Gus Rodeo is trying really hard to separate himself as well from the guys behind him.
And Jay, what we're talking about here is you're talking the track record has been broken. Hannah mentioned that Ty Scott did a 154.745 this morning in warm-up and track record, and now a 154.622 for Ben Gloddy in race trim early on in this race. And generally what we see from the SportbikeTrackGear.com Junior Cup category is these times will even drop more and more as the race wears on. Side by side.
Especially if they draft and redraft. Look at Gloddy, he just waited forever to get out of the bubble there to break for that chicane. So, but look, the group behind him, look, everybody is stepping up. Now Kolstad takes to the front of that small group battling for third, and I don't really feel like these guys have gotten away from them a whole bunch. So you see the lap record broke by the two guys in front. That group behind them are going to drop themselves probably into the low 55s or high 54s. Let's see, 55 mids. So the guys up front went 55.8, 56.0. So that was more the case that the two leaders going a little bit slower than the actual guys behind going a lot faster.
Setting up for another pass is Ty Scott in the draft, out of the draft, has position up the inside. So back to the front he goes. That's the type of pass, Jason, where normally they're not tripping each other up too much. So 54, 55.8, 56 flat with those other riders behind him, like you're saying, going quicker. Well, and that's what we saw yesterday, right? These two get out, and then all of a sudden those four behind him just started chipping away at it and then latched on.
Well, the thing that you're thinking here, what I'm thinking is, we saw 54.6 and 54.7 when Ty Scott was leading. We see 55.8, 56.0 when Benjamin was leading. So it's a matter of seeing if Benjamin can only go these lap times when he's chasing somebody, because sooner or later he's going to have to lead this race.
Well, Jason, you guys are talking about the back and forth between Benjamin's and Tyler Scott, and that back and forth yesterday really slowed the pace down at the front, allowing that second group to catch up to them, and it worked in Ben Gloddy's in favor. You know, he was hoping that he could have the same thing happen today, have some more riders get between him and Tyler Scott to give him the points advantage. Obviously, that's not the case at the moment. Overall, he's still hoping to replicate yesterday's results and pull off a double. He feels like he has the pace for sure. He was trying to find some more grip. He tried a softer spring and warm up and realized it wasn't quite the right direction, so he's sticking with yesterday's setup, and hopefully it'll carry him through to the end of this race. Overall, you know, a different mindset from Tyler. He's just trying to have fun and not worry so much about the championship.
Well, you bring up a great point, Hannah, because if the pace is a little bit slower, it does allow that other four guys to get themselves involved in this championship, or, you know, as far as being spoilers for this championship. And that's what Gloddy needs right now, as he leads across the line at a 55.4 for both of them. 55.1, Joe LeMandry Jr., another guy, again, on the podium yesterday, wants to get that next step closer, and he's moved himself up to third as he went by Kolstad down that front straightaway. Now we see Ty Scott again. They're going to do this again, Greg. They're going to outbreak each other into turn 3, so Scott gets back through on the KTM. So now it's going to be Gloddy, who's extremely fast out of the turn 14 and through the kink, which is 15 here before the chicane. He's fast down through there, and we'll see if he's be able to make that move again. As you see, Gus Rodeo now has moved himself up to third. When Gus came across the line, he was 5th, so he must have made a pass up there into turn 3 as well. And you can see just behind, LeMandry Jr. looks like he's trying to get himself set up to go underneath Rodeo, but he's not close enough. Rodeo shuts the door.
5.5 laps to go in this race, and Tyler Scott is leading Benjamin Gloddy with a pack of 4 starting to close in.
And you know, Greg, I'm sitting here, I'm looking at the screen. We talk about how fast these two guys are going. Gus Rodeo just went the quickest first split of the race at a 48.602. The guys up in front, 49.0, 48.9. So he's dragging this group a little bit closer. Him and LeMandry are doing everything they can, along with Kolstad and the battered Cody Wyman just sitting back there in 6th. He hasn't done much yet because obviously he's riding pretty injured today, but he's doing what he can to stay in this lead group. Now, Gloddy wasn't able to get through that time before the chicane, so they're going to run in that same order as they come towards the finish line again.
Oh, now Rodeo's right on the back. So it's like equidistant between 1, 2, and 3. As Rodeo goes a little wide, coming through turn 17 into 18. Now we'll switch back to 19 onto the front straightaway. Not much of a corner on these smaller displacement motorcycles, but nonetheless, the big drag race heading down into turn number 1. And boy, it looked like Gloddy was a lot closer to Scott there, but he had inside position as they use all the racetrack here at Pitt Race. There's Gloddy in the draft. He pulls out and he goes by again. So another lead change in this race. Landers Racing's Benjamin Gloddy to the point. Now this is where Scott has a look over his shoulder because of what happened yesterday.
Yeah, it looks like 55-1 for Rodeo, so he has brought that group along. Super impressed with Gus Rodeo, Joe LeMandri, all these guys. You see those two disappearing, and it can get disheartening sometimes, but I didn't see them carving each other up too much back there, so they were able to do something. As you see, again, LeMandri has a run on Rodeo up over the top, but Rodeo's proven to be really fast in that first split. Now they're on the back of these two, so now we're going to see if they can intertwine themselves in this championship battle.
Oh, and Scott up the inside. Little surprise move as Gloddy had to lift. And Scott had to look over his shoulder, so he knows that all four are here. So maybe it's time for Scott to try to pull the pin and gap himself for the rest of this field.
And you're right, Greg. He did gap them just a little bit, didn't he? Even in 2 or 3 corners, there was a bit of a gap. Now, this is where Gloddy was really fast early, but look, Greg, there is a tiny gap starting to open up. Gloddy's so fast through the chicane. Ty Scott is as well, and they're going to just get right up on the back of the KTM as they roll off into here. We got 6 riders battling at the front, and I thought at the end of the race yesterday, Ty Scott just got a little bit beat up there. Like, guys were going by him a lot in the last couple of laps, so he probably wants to keep himself up in that front area a little bit more and fight back immediately if he was to get past.
Scott Power Sports KTM, Tyler Scott behind the bubble, trying to be as slender as he can on a slender motorcycle compared to those Kawasaki's. Gloddy.
Thought about it, didn't he?
He had a moment.
He seems to get a good run up over the top of this hill, though, and is capable of drafting that KTM and going by before they get up into turn 3. As you can see here, he gets a good run out of turn 1 and makes that pass right back.
That was a lot of momentum. I mean, he got 2 or 3 bike lengths on that draft and pass, did Gloddy.
Now the 34, Cody Wyman, has kind of injected himself into this battle as well. He's gone from 6th, and he's moved himself forward up to 4th place. Rodeo 5th, and Kolstadt's now a little bit 6th. Hannah, what do you got?
Guys, it looks like Joe LeMandri Jr. has made his way around Gus Rodeo, and he's fighting for the 3rd spot, that final spot on the podium. This morning, he was having some mechanical issues in warm-up, so it made it hard for him to get a good lap and really test these new settings. They ultimately went with the same settings as yesterday's race. He was hoping to improve his start over yesterday, and he certainly has done that. You know, he hasn't ridden up front with these riders a lot this season, so he learned a lot yesterday that he's applying to this race scenario right now. So we'll see how this winds down these 4 laps we've got to go.
Yeah, Bazooka Joe doing a great job trying to get on the podium again.
Cody just had a big moment as he came up over that turn, I think it's 13 there, Greg. He got shot up out of the air.
Latter stages of these races going on as Ben Gloddy leads a train of riders all battling for this win. So far in this race, there's been 7 lead changes with about 3.5 to go. Riders all over the racetrack, Jason. It's getting interesting.
Yep, LeMandri Jr.'s now got that little gap back to 4th, and he's going to be able to draft these guys as they come down the front straightaway. Expect a little bit of an order change. The number 62 pulls out of the draft. Is he close enough? Not quite to get through.
And Ty Scott goes back to the lead. Lead change number 8.
Keeping track again, are you?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
Because it just felt like this is that kind of race.
It's going to be that kind of race.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So Scott out in no man's land, trying to get back, and another lead change. Gloddy goes back to the point. Boy, LeMandri looks like if anything goes wrong with these two, he's just going to be able to put himself right up front. It's just right there for Bazooka Joe, just hanging there, that race win.
Well, he put himself in a good spot because he went 54.9 that last lap, which was over half a second quicker than Ty Scott and 0.3 quicker than Gloddy. So he closed that gap down. Now it's going to be up to Cody Wyman to drag Kolstaddt and Gus Rodeo back up to these 3 because they've got a little tiny bit of a break right now. And look at Cody. He's doing a good job as well. He's distancing him. Ty Scott makes that same move again, doesn't he? In the S's, gets back by Gloddy. Another lead change there for you. But Cody Wyman's done a really nice first sector here to get himself back up on the back of these 4.
That must be getting frustrating for Gloddy, just leaving the door open. ever so slightly, and Scott able to just slide right in there. It's bunched up again. Tyler Scott's team looking on, his dad on the left part of your screen. And that is a family effort on that Scott Power Sports KTM. Joe LeMandry Jr. in third, having a good run at it. Hasn't, as Hannah mentioned, raced a lot this season. A rider that this SportbikeTrackGear.com Junior Cup class needs on the regular. So talented. And you can see Ty Scott moving his body, trying to get back off the windscreen and create as little drag as he possibly can. Didn't work. Gloddy back to the point.
Through again, and now Wyman is there. He's going to be able to maybe feel a draft on LeMandry and get by him as they go through, but he's got a little bit of a gap still to make up. But you can see LeMandry's got a double bike draft, and he's finally going to try to pull out of there, Greg. Let's see if he can get on the binders late here. Nope, Scott goes back through on Gloddy.
Well, so LeMandry, it just didn't seem like he had that extra punch at the end. Gloddy with a look over his shoulder. Now he sees 4 motorcycles behind him.
Yep.
It's Scott, Gloddy, LeMandry, Wyman, Kolstedt, Rodeo. They're all ahead of Kayla Yaakov, who's ahead of Humphrey and Davis. And Cody Wyman sitting in 4th, and he is looking menacing right now.
I'm really impressed with Cody. You know, I talked to him earlier, and he said yesterday he wanted to stay with Tyler and Ben, but the rear grip wasn't good enough for him to push as hard as he was trying to, and he really suffered a big high side crash. He's walking around very carefully. He is very banged up, but the way he's riding right now, you wouldn't even be able to tell.
So the elder statesman in the field, Cody Wyman on the 34 in the mix for another potential win on the season. But all of a sudden, Tyler Scott looks like he's got some urgency in his pace. And they're starting to spread out in terms of probably the largest front to second place gap we've seen so far this race.
Yeah, at all, yeah, and there's nothing there. And Gus Rodeo again, fast first split. This is going to be a fast lap for the 96 rider at 5th on our screen right now. Gus Rodeo does the fast first split of the race. He does his personal best in the second, so he's making another charge. We're coming towards the white flag this lap, and I think right now, Ty Scott, like you say, Greg, has opened up that tiny bit of a gap. And look at these other guys. Will it be their turn to try to gang up on Ben Gloddy today?
So many thoughts going through these riders' minds on how this scenario is going to play out. Ty Scott doesn't want to have any part of it. He's trying to pull the pin and get away. He's got a good gap right now. He's going to feel that no one's around him to draft him. Oh, but Gloddy gets a decent drive.
He does. Yep, but look at him. He moves over to the left. Is that racing IQ? I say that a lot of these kids are getting so young. Ty Scott blocks any idea of somebody going up underneath him, gets it backed in just a little bit as they go into 3. The gap is closed back down. So now Gloddy's going to have to go to work. He's got a whole list of guys behind him. Whoever's 6, is it Kolstedt that's 6? He's just off the back a little bit now, so it's really come down between 5 riders as Gus Rodeo does the fastest lap of the race, a 54.4, Greg, for Gus Rodeo. So he's now just got to try to see if he can get his way through traffic as Gloddy's going to take a shot down into turn 7, not quite close enough.
Oh, and that might have been it there for Ben Gloddy. And he gets on the gas, Jay, and he starts to go a little sideways, loses some drive.
He's got to stay close here. This is where he's got to stay close his next few turns, because as he comes up over 14, he has shown that he's been able to get by as they go through that little kink in 15. But Ty Scott's done a nice job of managing this gap and being super clean through here. I don't think that Gloddy is close enough right now to take any advantage. He's not. Ty Scott continues to open up that gap as they go through the fast turn 15. Once they get through the chicane, Greg, it's very difficult to do anything. Ty Scott blocks the inside, so any idea that Ben could have gotten underneath him is gone, and now Ty Scott's got 1 corner to go.
What a race for Tyler Scott in the mix of this entire melee of riders as Scott gets on the gas. He loses a little bit of drive. Is this the opening that Gloddy needs? Scott coming onto the straightaway. He's got a good run on it. He's behind the bubble, and start-finish line comes up that fast, and it's going to be Ty Scott with the victory over Ben Gloddy and Joe LeMandry Jr. with Ben Gloddy setting the fastest lap of the race, a 1:54.435 on the last lap as battles continue all over the racetrack.
Yeah, Yaakov, she's done a tremendous job to separate herself. What a weekend for her, a 6th and now a 7th place finish as she's going to come across with a nice little gap over Blake Davis is here, Eli Block is here. So we got a big group. So it's Davis, Max Van, Spencer Humphrey, Eli Block are going to round out top 11. But this guy here bounces back just like you kind of almost would expect. Ends up 4th yesterday, Greg, and ends up winning today's race.
We're going to hear from Tyler Scott and see how his plan laid out for us and how well he enjoyed that race. Stay with us.
Well, that was fun, wasn't it, Roger Hayden?
Yeah, it was a really good race. And what a last lap by Tyler Scott. Hit all of his marks, put in a really good lap. We've been watching that whole race, and we kept talking about how fast he was through that infield section, turned the sector 2, and he was really quick through there. That last lap got just enough gap that he needed.
It looked like he was really trying to push that last lap and a half or 2 laps, but the back and forth we saw between Scott and Gloddy. Gloddy would always get those good runs, but at those times, you know, the opportunities were there for Scott. He took advantage of them each and every time. That bike really likes to maneuver back and forth.
Yeah, seems to be a little bit more nimble through there, but also you could just tell he was more aggressive today.
Yeah.
And those guys were pushing that last lap. You've seen him sliding around. You've seen Ben Gloddy sliding. All these guys almost did their best lap on the last lap of the race.
Yeah, the personal best for Tyler Scott in that last lap. Same for David Kolstad, but the fastest lap, and Joe Lamandry, but the best lap overall was Ben Gloddy. I could tell coming through that chicane, I was like, hey, don't count him out, because I saw that one run with about 2 laps to go. He was able to make a pass coming down the front straightaway, but he didn't get it at that stripe. He just needed a little bit better, you know, exit out of that chicane and around that last sweeper.
I mean, he was close. The start-finish line was, you know, a little bit further down. He would have had the win, but he pushed hard, and Tyler Scott barely held him off.
Good run by Cody Wyman at 4th place, and being off the podium not indicative of the run that he put in there, because we questioned whether he'd even ride today. You know, I heard he went to the hospital even yesterday as well. So Cody Wyman, a good run, finishing in 4th, Gus Rodeo 5th, David Kolstad in 6th. His dad pats him on the back, and if he was lacking for power yesterday, it doesn't seem like he was lacking today, did it?
No, not really, but still on that run to turn 3, it looked like Ben Gloddy could get by him a couple times there. So that could be a couple different things. It could be the run out of 2, or also maybe gearing a little bit. But like I've seen all year in this class, each bike and each rider has their strong and weak points, and over the lap it looks pretty even.
Ty Scott doing it for the home state here on the Scott Power Sports KTM. Pennsylvania boy, wins in Pennsylvania. Hey, there's my buddy Mac McCluggage in the background, sticking around watching all the races today. Solid run by Joe Lamandry Jr., and we're going to get to see more of him at the next round, I'm sure. I talked to you about that. I mean, both of those guys, Scott and Lamandry, that should be the home track basically for them too. It's going to get fun. It's going to be even tighter at the next stop.
Yeah, and Joseph Lamandry, he's got to be beaming with confidence leaving here. Get 2 podiums, chase down the leaders, both races.
Yeah.
And so I think he's got to be looking forward to New Jersey, and after now knowing that he can run with these guys going to his home track, and so we're looking forward to it.
Well, you see the difference between the 2 riders. Joe Lamandry happy and, stoked. He gets there on the podium, and Ben Gloddy, another podium for him, but that 2nd place is a disappointment because he's going to lose 5 points, now a 9-point differential in the Junior Cup. Ty Scott's your leader.
Yeah, once you get used to winning, you don't like, getting second isn't any fun. One of these days, Joe Lamandry will have that same feeling.
Ty Scott, Ben Gloddy, Joe Lamandry. We're about to hear from him trackside. Send it back to the guys next door.
Today's Junior Cup race coverage has been sponsored by Geico Motorcycle. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on your car or motorcycle insurance. And by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
The results from SportbikeTrackGear.com Junior Cup race action has Tyler Scott by 61 thousandths over Ben Gloddy. Fastest lap of the race, though, by Gloddy on the last lap. Not a track record. Want to correct that. That's 2019 by Rocco Landers. But let's get right down to Hannah with our race winner.
Greg, Tyler Scott's plan was to hold on to his points lead heading into the next round, and he has done just that with today's victory. Tyler, with 2 laps to go, you were able to kind of pull away from Ben. How were you able to get the job done?
Yeah, I knew they had a little bit more power in the straightaway, so I took the lead and tried to lead the last 2 laps. I was really struggling with rear grip off the corners, but I managed to pull it out. Big thanks to KTM, RI Helmets, everyone that helped, Bob Robbins, MotoAmerica, everyone for coming out, Ron for giving me Gatorade at the MotoAmerica lunch, but everyone, it was such a great race, and big thanks.
Congrats to Tyler Scott, and everybody loves Ron Heben, don't they, guys?
Yeah, an awesome race by Ty Scott, and way to manage the entire field behind him, Jay. It was quite impressive.
Yeah, he had a lot of pressure, and he continued to fight and get himself back up to that front where he needed to be all the time.
Let's get right down to Hannah with our second place finisher.
Second place today goes to Ben Gloddy. And Ben, we could see how hard you were pushing on those final laps. What would you like to have done differently if you could?
I just needed more rear grip there towards the end of the race, and pretty much through the whole race I was struggling with chatter, but you know, we'll get back at it at Jersey and see what we can do. I'm happy with the second today. We closed the points in this week, so that was the main goal, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without my whole Landers Racing crew, Tarl, Jamie, Stoney, everybody over there, and Arai Helmets, just everybody. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ben. Congratulations.
Yeah, we could really see there towards the end of the race, he spun up a couple times.
Yeah, he was moving around a little bit in the S's and stuff for Ben. But like you said, he's got championship in mind also. Close that gap. Not all is lost. He got a win yesterday, second today. He'll take that to Jersey. Still has 2 rounds to go. A lot of racing to be done yet.
Yeah, you can see the front end of that bike moving around a lot. But let's get right down to Hannah with Bazooka Joe.
A great weekend for Joseph Lemandry Jr., second podium of the weekend. And Joe, we saw you pushing hard all race long. How were you kind of able to put yourself in this position for this much success here?
Well, once again, I took the momentum from yesterday, felt confident, and we didn't really have to make much changes to the bike. It just worked good all day. So I just had confidence in the bike and the team, so I just really pushed as hard as I can. And on the last lap, I started making some mistakes. I got to work on that next time, but it was a great race. Huge thank you to the Boss Racing team, CyberSafe Solutions, Heroic Racing Apparel, Arai Helmets, Evolve GT Track Days, Heroic Racing Apparel, and SportbikeTrackGear. Also, huge congratulations to Tyler and Ben. Great race. Hope to take this on to Jersey.
All right, well, you heard it here. We will be seeing Joseph Lemandry Jr. in New Jersey. Will he be able to continue this momentum there?
I would say,
I'd say so, yeah. He's been really impressive. The little that we've got to see him, we saw him making some big pushes at the end of last year too. And he's a young man I'd love to be able to see, be able to get to all of the rounds. And you know, he's definitely got some momentum right now, putting on the podium here twice in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, totally impressive run. Here's a look at your championship point standings. It was 4, now it's 9. Does it feel like that's a big margin to you, Jason, in this championship this year?
No, that is nothing.
It's not, but Cody Wyman sitting back there in third. Gus Rodeo knocking on the door as the races available in this championship are winding down. Only 4 remain for the SportbikeTrackGear.com Junior Cup class, and it's going to go all the way to the wire between Ty Scott and Ben Gloddy. Jay Gagne knew it was going to be an exciting race, and it was. We hope that you'll join us September 10th through the 12th at our next event. For Hannah and Jason, I'm Greg. See ya.